Hey guys, my name is Matsumiao, and welcome to our episode of Sunday Mailbox. This is a video series where you, the viewer, can submit your gaming-related questions, and then I will give my humble opinion on them. To get the formalities out of the way real quick, if you would like to submit your own question that could be featured in an upcoming episode, you can do so by leaving a comment down below, or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. The first question for today comes from Anders, and it is, what do you think about an offensive operator in Rainbow Six Siege with a drone that can explode? It will not kill, only injure. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not entirely sold on this concept. I've been hearing this idea a lot lately, but I feel like it would either go one or two ways. It would either be incredibly frustrating for the defensive team to deal with, or it would just be borderline useless. Ubisoft would need to ensure that this thing looks and sounds distinctive from all of the other drones, and it needs to be very obvious. If defense has no warning that this thing is about to explode directly next to them, that's just gonna get annoying. And so because of this, it needs to be loud. And if it's loud, that also means that it's probably not gonna get anywhere near someone as long as they're halfway accurate. The other reason why I'm not entirely sold on this idea is that you're wasting one of your most valuable resources on offense, which is your drone, to blow something up. If you only get two of them, like Twitch for example, yeah, you may have just taken out that barbed wire, maybe you blew open a side wall to get onto the objective, like that's important, but you just used one of your drones to do that. The reason why people try to save their drone at the start of the round when the objective is found is because it is that valuable. Figuring out where the enemy is located is one of the most important things in Rainbow Six Siege, and this operator would go completely against this idea. And so yeah, you opened up that wall with your drone. That sounds cool. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I get where you're coming from. Like, it does sound interesting. It sounds like a cool concept. But there's a lot of other operators in this game that don't have to sacrifice their drone to do that. Ash can just use her breaching charge. You can throw a grenade with IQ, but then you can always switch on over to drone as soon as that opening's up, and then you can scout out the objective. That wouldn't be possible with this drone operator. Now, some of you might be thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, why not just give him two normal drones and then one explosive drone, or two explosive drones as well? Well, in that case, we're starting to move into the territory where it's gathering too much information. If someone has 4 drones, yeah, 2 of them might explode. They may not be as good as the normal ones that gather information, but that's still 4 drones that you can take advantage of. And so with all that being said, hopefully you can see where I'm coming from for why I just don't think this would work in Rainbow Six Siege. Either it would be just incredibly frustrating for the defense to deal with because it's sneaky, all of a sudden you're just getting taken out by a drone, that doesn't sound like fun, or Ubisoft would need to go out of their way to ensure that this thing is very obvious that it's heading towards you, and if that's the case, it's probably just going to be relegated to destroying different gadgets or obstacles in your way, and other operators can already do that just as well. And so while it's a very interesting concept, there's been a lot of people that have recommended this over the last couple of months, I just don't know if this would work for Rainbow Six Siege. The next question is, what are your thoughts on the recent Destiny 2 reveal? Well, I will admit that I am very excited to get my hands on Destiny 2, but I also will admit that the reveal was a bit disappointing at points. One thing that left a sour taste in my mouth is the fact that the PC version is going to be delayed. Now, don't get me wrong, the fact that it's coming out on PC is incredible. I enjoyed Destiny for what it was, but it was difficult for me to play for extended periods of time because I am just not a good console first-person shooter player. As much as I try, I just can't get that control to work for me, and so the fact that it's coming out on my preferred platform is incredible. That said though, one of the great things about a game like Destiny is that for that first couple of weeks, everyone's discovering the game alongside everyone else. You're finding secrets, you're discovering new armor, new weapons, you're doing different challenges together that you've never done before. You're performing different strategies against a raid boss, for example. And so for that first couple of weeks, it's like this magical moment. I know this is a little bit exaggerated, but you're discovering this alongside everyone else, and it's just a lot of fun when no one has any idea what's going on. And so for all the PC players out there, as soon as they get the game, it's kind of been like been there, done that. Like there isn't that same sense of discovery and wonder that we're gonna get alongside the console players. And so it's not the biggest complaint, it was one thing that did leave a sour taste in my mouth. Now, one thing that is a big disappointment to me though, is the fact that there isn't gonna be dedicated servers even for PvP. I don't know how Bungie has gone from being one of the most respected and revolutionary developers when it comes to multiplayer first-person shooters. They created Halo. Halo revolutionized the scene for console multiplayer shooters, and so how do they go from that to what we have in Destiny? Now, I will admit that it has been a while since I played the game, and so maybe Bungie has gone out of their way to improve things significantly, But what I distinctly remember was that PvP was atrocious in Destiny 1. Not because the combat wasn't fun. Like, no, the combat was actually really enjoyable. That's one of the great things about Destiny is the combat itself, but because the netcode was so awful, it just wasn't fun. You were dying around corners constantly. You would punch an enemy, they would punch at you, and because there was this weird delay going on, you would die at the same time. Like, there was so many trade kills happening in Destiny that it just wasn't fun. And so while I am still holding on to hope that they're going to be able to fix a lot of these problems under the hood and that it's not going to be as bad in Destiny 2 when it comes to PvP, the fact that they weren't able to even bring us dedicated servers was a big disappointment. One thing I am excited about, though, is the fact that the combat looks to be as solid as it was in the original. Everyone that's played the game says that the combat is still as snappy and as amazing as the original was, and also the fact that the worlds are going to be a lot larger and there's going to be a lot more of an emphasis on exploration. From what they've told us, these worlds and these different planets are going to be a lot more expansive than anything that we had in the original game, and that's also kind of what they were talking about when Destiny 1 was originally pitched. I remember they had a gameplay session where they basically said, you see out there in a distance, you're going to be able to explore that. Of course, that was not what we got with the original Destiny, and so we should kind of be a little wary when they say that now, but the fact that this isn't going to be on the old gen consoles, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3, hopefully now they have the horsepower to be able to actually have more of these expansive worlds for us to explore. And so all in all, I'm still very excited about the release of Destiny 2. I may have some minor complaints here and there, mainly the lack of dedicated servers, the fact that there doesn't appear to be any new classes. That was kind of kicking the gut, but I can look over that. I've really wanted to have Destiny on PC. I really enjoyed the original, and hopefully they're going to be able to capture that same magic, expand upon it, and really deliver a solid product. The next question comes from Luigi, and it is, what do you think about an operator on Rainbow Six Siege on the attacking side that is able to set off traps such as a bear trap and a Capcan trap? Now that is one of the more unique operator ideas that I've heard. I just don't know if it would actually be useful enough. Conceptually, it sounds cool. Let's say your teammate is in their drone, they're looking at a Capcan trap, they notice that someone is walking by that trap, you somehow are able to pinpoint where that's located, you click a button and that Capcan trap explodes. It sounds awful as a defender because there's nothing that you can really do against it, going back to our original question, so maybe that's one reason why this wouldn't be a good idea. But from a team play standpoint, if there is that teamwork dynamic, they have to make the call out, then you activate your gadget, it blows on up, you get a kill, that sounds really fun. The thing is though, is that how often is that actually going to happen? And these two operators that you're essentially countering are already some of the weakest operators in the game. Capcan and Frost don't really have the highest pick rate, and as soon as you bring this guy on in, you're gonna lower their pick rate even more. As soon as you lower their pick rate, that means that this guy is gonna be even less effective because there's less traps for you to activate, and so I just don't really see how this guy is gonna have much of a presence in Rainbow Six Siege. Maybe in a couple of years, if they bring in more trap operators, I'm sure it's inevitable, I'm sure we're gonna see more of them on defense, there's gonna be more unique ways of trapping and killing your enemies on defense, but until then, this guy, I really don't think, while it sounds cool, it sounds really awesome to be able to use someone else's trap against them, that sounds awesome conceptually, I just don't see this working in the real world, and for that reason, I would not expect anything like this in the near future. The next question is, have you noticed that Rainbow Six Siege community has turned a lot more toxic lately? It used to be a fairly nice chat, but now it's loads of heckling and cussing. Well, I don't know if I would say that this is something that's happened all of a sudden. I think it's been more of a gradual thing, and that's just because there's been more people getting involved in Rainbow Six Siege. I mean, they always talk about how every DLC, the game is growing bigger and bigger, more people are playing every single day, and the larger and more people that you have, the more likely you're gonna have people that are just assholes. And so, yeah, I guess I've noticed this here and there, but I think on average, Rainbow Six Siege has one of the better communities out there. Now, I might be biased, and I do play on PC, and so I don't know what it's like on console, but at least on the PC side of things, I wouldn't say it's as bad as other video games out there. You have to remember that this is a competitive multiplayer first-person shooter. You look at all competitive games out there, there is going to be this toxicity. League of Legends, Dota, you got games like Overwatch. At the end of the day, people want to win. If they're not winning, they're going to get salty and they're going to express that to you and your team. Now, one thing I would love to see added though is, at least on the PC side, to be able to toggle between either all chat, have it off, have it on, or just team chat. Right now, you can either have it on or off, and that doesn't make any sense. A lot of the times I want to see what my teammates are saying in the chat bubble, but because it's either all or nothing, that means I also have to look at all the toxicity that the enemy team is spewing at us. It would be nice if I could just turn that off entirely so I don't have to look at it, but also I could see what my teammates are communicating. And so at the end of the day, I don't think it's as bad as other multiplayer games out there. I do agree with you, and hopefully Ubisoft will do something about this in the future. I feel like this chat function would go a long way, maybe giving players a commendation system like that we see in other games, where if someone's not being toxic, you can praise them and they'll get some reward for doing that. That could also be a nice step in the right direction, because all multiplayer games deal with this, and I feel like Siege is no exception, and they'll have to take some steps in the future. But yeah, guys, that is about it for today's Sunday Mailbox. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about what we discussed in today's video. Do you like the idea of having an explosive drone in Rainbow Six Siege? Is that not to your liking? Let me know down below. As always, if you would like to submit your own question for an upcoming episode, you can also leave a comment or by sending me a Facebook and Twitter message. But until tomorrow, guys, have a good one and take it easy.